Don't you know what you have done? Realize that you're taking someone's possession. You're taking lives and causing so much pain to others. For your hurt, they're not to blame. I can understand you call yourself a man with a gun in your hand, killing people in the land.
How's it going, everybody? This is Soul Town Productions. Today I'm going to be bringing you another video of the gang related content, right? We're going to be talking about a neighborhood found in Santa Ana, Orange County, called the Evergreen Locos, right? Locotes Street Gang. First of all, before I start this video off, I want to say much respect to this neighborhood. I'm not trying to disrespect your neighborhood. I'm only talking about your neighborhood regarding public knowledge, things that you can find online. So let's get to it, right? I found a few court cases that have happened resulting in murders, resulting in tragedies, right? When another man kills another brown man, I consider that a tragedy, right? Because we're only killing off each other. We're really not advancing as a people. So the victim, Jesus Segura, was a member of the Locotes Street Gang. Locotes was a rival of the Delhi Street Gang. On October 11th, 2007, a few minutes after 7 p.m., police found Segura shot to death on the sidewalk of South Evergreen Street, in a Santa Ana neighborhood in which both gangs operated. When officers arrived on the scene, food trucks were open and operating on the street. A crowd was gathered around the body, but no witnesses would come forward. Soon, a distraught woman ran up to the officers and screamed that Segura was the father of her children, and Delhi killed him. They're going to pay for this. Segura died from multiple gunshot wounds to his chest and abdomen. Castillo, a Delhi gang member, was arrested in January 2008 for Segura's murder. His trial took place on October 2012. Juan Calderon testified for the prosecution. In January 2008, Calderon was arrested and taken into custody for the unrelated killing of Juan Orejel. His testimony in this case was secured as a result of a plea agreement in the case. In October 2007, Calderon was 15 years old. He was a member of the Delhi Street Gang, whose enemies included Locotes. He testified Castillo was also a Delhi member who used the alias G-Boy, and they saw each other almost every day. He testified Delhi gang members always had access to firearms. They were distributed throughout the neighborhood and frequently shared with each other. Calderon testified about gang hit-ups, which occur when a gang member approaches someone who appears to be from another gang, or who looks at the gang member in the way the gang members do not like, and the gang member either asks, "Where you from?" or brandishes a firearm. As a Delhi gang member, Calderon frequently participated in hit-ups and assaults. He testified that Delhi gang members' objective most of the time is to kill. Calderon testified about prior violent altercations between Delhi and Locotes gang members. Segura was a Locotes gang member a few months before Segura's killing. A Delhi gang member called Balloon was shot by a Locotes gang member called Clever, and Balloon was left paralyzed and in a wheelchair. A few weeks before Segura's killing, Segura and Clever jumped out of a car and shot at Calderon and his companion, Sleepy. The shots missed. On another occasion, Segura got close to shooting Calderon and Balloon, who was in his wheelchair. Calderon testified Locotes wanted payback mostly against Clever for having shot Balloon, but also against Segura for shooting at Calderon and Balloon. Calderon explained payback meant that any chance we got at them, it was got to take care of what we had to take care of, meaning shoot to kill Locotes. On the day Segura was killed, Calderon and Castillo were selling drugs in front of an apartment building in Delhi territory. A boy approached them, warning them a Locotes gang member was near. Calderon saw that it was Segura. Everyone, including Castillo, knew what had happened to Balloon. Calderon testified he asked Castillo for his gun, a 9mm Glock, that was sitting on top of a box under the staircase a few feet away from them. Calderon told Castillo he wanted to handle it because we never got a chance to get at these people, Castillo said. No, I'm going to handle it. Castillo took the gun and rode off in his bicycle towards Segura. Calderon did not feel he needed to go with Castillo because he trusted Castillo to handle it. Calderon knew something obviously was going to happen if the chance was there. So he walked towards where Castillo was going to observe from about 40 feet away. Calderon saw Castillo already hitting Segura up. He saw Castillo talk to Segura, and when Segura started walking away, Calderon thought, why is he not shooting this guy if he knows that's the guy? But then Castillo turned Segura around, pointed the gun into Segura's stomach, and fired 2 or 3 shots. Segura fell to the ground, and Castillo stood over Segura and fired several more shots into him. Calderon thought maybe even 7 rounds were fired. Later that evening, Calderon saw Castillo at a fellow gang member's house. Castillo had showered and shaved his head. He told Calderon everything that had happened, saying, I hit that fool up, and he let the clip on Segura. Fired his gun until he ran out of ammunition after Segura denied being a gang member. Jesus Pulido was a drug dealer who lived in the neighborhood where Segura was shot. He was not a gang member, he explained, that in the alley divided the Delhi and Locotes sides of the neighborhood. Pulido considered both Segura and Castillo to be his friends. Pulido knew Segura was a member of Locotes and was pretty sure Castillo was a Delhi member. Pulido testified that on the night Segura was killed, Pulido was at one of the food trucks parked on the street. Segura called down to Pulido from an apartment and they talked for a couple minutes. Segura then came walking downstairs from the apartment near the Delhi side of the neighborhood, walking towards the Locote side. Pulido saw Castillo and other men riding bicycles in the street, and then saw Castillo jump off of his bicycle. Segura walked towards Pulido. Pulido was looking at him, and Castillo was behind Pulido. As Segura walked past Pulido, he smiled, placed a finger to his mouth, and made a shh gesture. Pulido turned back around to the food truck. He then heard someone hit up Segura, heard Segura say, oh shit, and then heard shots. He then saw Segura move a short distance and fall to the ground. At trial, Pulido denied actually seeing who shot Segura and denied telling police that he saw Castillo shoot Segura. He testified he had only heard or had a feeling Castillo was a shooter. Pulido testified he remembered the shooter wore a hooded gray sweatshirt and rode a BMX-style bicycle. But he denied telling officers the shooter rode a BMX-style bicycle. He denied telling officers he saw Castillo pull a gun from his waist area. He agreed he had told police he saw Castillo on a bike and at some point Castillo jumped off the bike. He testified Castillo was the only person behind him at the food truck when the hit up happened. Pulido testified he used heroin regularly up to 50 times a day and that on that day Segura was shot, he was under the influence of heroin or cocaine. So what can we learn from this case right here, right? First of all, the shooter's homeboy took a plea agreement and testified on his own homeboy, right? Then this other drug dealer gave a partial statement, kind of testifying on the criminal, right? And kind of gave a description of what he saw, right? So, first off, this could have been avoided, right? This could have been a situation where they could have just gone fist to fist, right? But again, obviously there's trauma and there's anger, right? You know, your homeboy gets shot at, and obviously there's anger, right? There's always going to be some kind of payback to be wanted, right? And first off, I want to say, man, let's just stay away from all that gun violence, man. Let's go back to the old school days. Let's handle it fist on fist. No one has to die. No one has to get shot, right? This upcoming article that I'm going to say right now involves a man that didn't even bang. He was just, in the food truck, right? I mean, a man has been arrested in connection with the death of a food truck vendor who was fatally shot in gang crossfire in Santa Ana, police said Tuesday. Jose de Jesus Gomez Ochoa, 30, of Tustin, was taken into custody Monday on suspicion of murder and parole violation. According to the Santa Ana Police Department, Ochoa, a documented Santa Ana gang member, had been wanted by law enforcement officials for violating parole, police said. Ochoa's arrest comes hours after police responded to the 1700 block of South Evergreen Street. Elio Armando Gramajo, 52, was working at his food truck at 7:19 p.m. when shots rang out. and struck him, police said. Officers found Gramajo wounded at the scene. He was taken to an area hospital where he was pronounced dead. Homicide detectives said they found fresh gang graffiti in the neighborhood, police said. You know, obviously there's going to be casualties when it comes down to this gang violence. You know, you wouldn't want to be walking down the street, you know, maybe with your jefita, your jefito, your abuelo, and you get caught slipping by your rivals, right? And let's say you disrespected that rival not that long ago, you shot him up, or maybe you disrespected his pad. What do you think is going to happen, right? We need to make smarter choices. You know, there's no need to disrespect each other. We're all from the same ghetto. You know, we're all from the same area. Most of the time, when you guys fall under the same flag, you go to jail or prison and you have to fall in line with each other, right? You guys have to get along. You guys can't even fight it out. So what's the point of this gang violence, right? We're only killing each other. Many kids get shot on the street for these gang violences happening in public, right? So we need to be smarter than that. On October 3rd, 2007, Santa Ana Police Department Detective Oscar Lizardi and his partner, Detective John Rodriguez, were on routine foot patrol in the high crime area of Evergreen Street in Santa Ana. When they saw what appeared to be narcotics activity or crimes emanating from a catering truck parked on the street, Medina, another man named Hinojosa, and 4 other young Hispanic men were loitering around the truck. The men were dressed in baggy clothing and white t-shirts, and they were sporting shaved heads. Based on Lizardi's experience with Hispanic gang members, he believed the 6 young men were members of a criminal street gang, Evergreen Street. Evergreen Street is in the heart of Locotes claimed territory. When Medina and Hinojosa saw the officers, they immediately began walking westbound on Evergreen and away from the officers. Lizardi ordered them to stop several times, but they continued to walk away from him and toward an apartment complex. Eventually, Medina and Hinojosa walked into an open apartment door at 1702 Evergreen Street. First, Medina and then Hinojosa entered the apartment. After they walked inside, Josefina Navarrete came outside. She appeared frightened, and she told the officer she did not know the 2 young men who had just entered her apartment. She also said that her 4-year-old grandson was inside the apartment and in the kitchen, and then she asked if the officers would go into the apartment and bring him outside. Lizardi looked inside the apartment and saw Medina walking up the stairs to the apartment's 2nd story. When Lizardi and Rodriguez entered the 2-story apartment, Medina walked back down the stairs. Lizardi estimated that Medina was upstairs for approximately 20 seconds. He asked Medina if he lived at the apartment, and Medina said that he did not. Lizardi asked for and received permission to search Medina, but did not find anything. Navarrete authorized a search of her apartment. Several officers went inside. They found a loaded semi-automatic handgun under a mattress in an upstairs bedroom. Navarrete's daughter-in-law, Gloria Calderon, and her son slept in this bedroom. Navarrete and Calderon denied having ever seen the gun before. Medina was arrested for gun possession. The gun was swabbed for DNA analysis, and the sample was obtained from Medina. A DNA analyst testified that there were at least 3 DNA profiles in the materials taken from the gun, and that Medina could not be excluded as a contributor. Furthermore, the analyst testified that only 1 person in 1,000 would have similar DNA. During the booking process, Medina told Lizardi he grew up on Evergreen Street and that he kicks back with the Locotes, and had done so for 4 years. Medina also admitted that he had been documented as a Locotes gang member in the past and that he grew up on Evergreen Street. At trial, the prosecution's gang expert, Officer Roland Andrade, testified that the Los Locotes, which loosely translated means the crazy ones, is a typical Hispanic criminal street gang that claims Evergreen Street as part of its territory. As of October 3rd, 2007, the gang had approximately 10 members, although the numbers of members changes over time. The gang's primary rival is the Del High Street gang, whose members claim an area approximately of 100 to 150 yards from where the lunch truck was parked. This close proximity between the two rival gangs made the frequent contact between them. Andrade testified that he had personally investigated narcotics crimes committed by Los Locotes members, and that the primary activities of the gang were felony vandalism and narcotics trafficking. He had contacted Medina before this arrest. In fact, between 2002 and 2007, Medina had been contacted by law enforcement approximately 7 times and given Step Act notices on each occasion. Medina was usually found on Evergreen Street, and he was frequently in the company of other Locotes gang members. One of these contacts resulted in Medina's arrest for narcotics possession with intent to sell. Although this sale took place outside Los Locotes' claimed territory, and while he was with a girl, plus Medina has several tattoos worn by traditional Hispanic street gang members, Andrade explained that the term kicking back means someone is associating or affiliating with the gang. Generally, someone is either walked in or crimed in to establish gang membership. Gang members show their allegiance to a gang by getting gang-related tattoos or by writing gang-related graffiti. They also back up each other by assisting others members during confrontations with police or rival gangs. In Andrade's opinion, gang members will know which individual is carrying the gang gun because gang guns are owned by the gang collectively and not by any one individual member. Andrade testified that he learned about gang guns from conversations with gang members, including conversations with members of Los Locotes. In Andrade's expert opinion, Medina was carrying a gang gun on October 3rd, 2007, and Navarrete's apartment was a gang safe house. At the time of Medina's arrest, several Los Locotes gang members were being released from prison and returning to the community to continue their street-level dope dealing. Under the circumstances, it would have been important for Los Locotes gang members to be armed in the area around the catering truck. But let's think about it, right? What if the officer would have just started shooting when he walked into that apartment? Maybe killing the little boy that was found inside, right? Or what if there was an armed citizen in that house and the gang member could have just gotten shot, right? Maybe started a gun battle, right, between the armed citizen, the gang member, and the police, right? Many different situations could have arisen from such mistakes, right? And my message to just gang members in general, right, is let's leave that stuff behind, man. It doesn't pay to gangbang. Nowadays, there's cameras everywhere. You can't get away with nothing. Most of the times, your fellow gang members snitch on you. You end up getting busted, right? You have a lady, she's going to end up leaving your ass, right? Because you're stuck in prison. You're going to start hearing your homeboys are smashing your ex, right? Things like that, right? Many things could happen from just bad decision makings, right? I know a few youngsters that I grew up with that are doing life today, right? Guys that were righteous, regular people, right? But they just wanted to prove themselves, right? It's not worth it at the end of the day. You know, one day you're going to grow up, you're going to be 30 years old, and you're going to realize that clout really didn't get you nothing but in bad positions, right? You're going to realize that you're going to have a lot of haters. You're not going to have your real family around you. God forbid you end up doing life. And many people lose their parents while they're doing life, right? Many people lose their loved ones. Things could happen to your children, you know. There's many different things that could happen, so we got to think about our decisions at the end of the day. So with that, I'm ending this video. Please like, comment, share, subscribe to my channel. If you don't, I ain't tripping. Let's keep pushing as a people. Let's stay away from the bullshit. Stop the gang banging, right? It's not worth it. Let's teach our sons right, you know, so we could make honest citizens out of our kids, right? Not citizens that just are sheep to the country, right? I'm talking about righteous people, right? Let's say you have the right to bear arms and stuff like that, right? Let's protect our communities and actually help our people out in the long run, because we're being hunted out here. You know, we're being hunted by forces that we can't even touch. So with that being said, man, let's stay away from the bullshit, all right? Take care of me, gente.